Once upon a time, in an age long past, there were 3 thieves who had banded together as partners. They shared the spoils of their ill-gotten gains, aiding one another in pilfering the wealth of others and dividing their plunder to feast together. Like most thieves and pickpockets, who form gangs and employ cunning tricks to steal from the unwary, these 3 had formed their own crew in the small town where they lived. One of their schemes was to lurk in the town's alleys, watching passers-by to spot someone carrying a hefty sum of money. When they saw a person make a purchase and tuck the change into their pocket, they marked their target and trailed them until they reached a quiet, deserted alley. There, the first thief would approach the unsuspecting victim and deliberately bump into them with force. The startled person would protest, saying, "Sir, what kind of walking is this? Can't you watch where you're going?" The first thief would snap back, "Mind your own business, keep talking, and I'll punch you in the head." This would enrage the victim, who might retort, "What an ill-mannered brute you are." The thief would escalate the confrontation, shouting, "You dare call me ill-mannered? You're the ill-mannered one. How dare you insult me?" He would then lunge forward, engaging the person in a heated argument that soon turned into a brawl. At that moment, the other 2 thieves, acting as if they were unaware of the situation, would rush in asking, "What's going on? Why are you fighting?" They would side with the victim, whom they knew carried money, saying, "The gentleman is in the right, but please, let's break this up." They would intervene, seemingly to rescue the victim from their own accomplice. But in the midst of this staged chaos, they skillfully picked the victim's pockets. The victim, consumed by anger and distracted by the fight, wouldn't notice until the thieves had vanished. Only later would they realize their money was gone and that the 3 were a team of pickpockets working together. This was one of their cunning ploys. Another of their tricks targeted lone shopkeepers in quiet parts of town. They would scout a shop in a secluded area, ensuring the owner was alone. 2 of the thieves would linger outside, pretending to admire something or stroll like ordinary passers-by. Meanwhile, the third would enter the shop, purchase a small, inexpensive item, and pay for it, all while noting where the shopkeeper kept their money. Once he had memorized the location, he would leave and wait nearby. Then the second thief would enter, buy something, but instead of paying, he would grab the item and walk out. The shopkeeper would call after him, "Sir, you haven't paid for that." But the thief would ignore him and keep walking. Desperate, the shopkeeper would chase after him, shouting, "Sir, you owe me for the goods." The thief would lead him far from the shop, then stop and say, "My apologies, I forgot. How much is it?" The shopkeeper might reply, 100 rials. The thief would hand over a mere 5 rials, smirking, "It's not worth more than this," and continue walking. The shopkeeper, now furious, would argue, "This is no way to buy things. The price is as I said." The second thief would keep him engaged with excuses, stalling him. Meanwhile, the first thief, knowing where the money was kept, would slip into the unattended shop, steal the cash, and disappear. Shortly after, the third thief would appear, playing a peacemaker. He would reconcile the shopkeeper with the second thief, who would return the item, and the 2 would leave together. The shopkeeper, returning to his shop and putting the item back, would later discover his money missing. Only then would he realize the customers were thieves who had worked together to rob him. These 3 greedy thieves employed many such ruses, wreaking havoc in their small town. But their misdeeds caught up with them, and they were apprehended several times. Even after stints in prison, they refused to abandon their thieving ways. Finally, the town's governor ordered them to be paraded through the streets, tied backward on donkeys, so all could know their faces. Disgraced and recognized everywhere, they could no longer operate in the town. So, they agreed to leave and try their luck stealing in the surrounding villages. In the villages, however, everyone knew each other, and deceit was harder to conceal. Still, the 3 thieves, uneducated and unaccustomed to honest work, persisted in their thievery. But as the ways of the world dictate, wickedness brings disgrace, and disgrace brings ruin. The villagers soon recognized them, and when they saw that thieving wouldn't sustain them there either, the trio decided to turn to highway robbery in the wilderness. For a time, they preyed on travelers and passers-by, stealing what they could. One day, a shopkeeper from a nearby village was heading to the city to buy goods. He rode alone on his donkey, carrying a year's worth of savings and cash to purchase supplies for his shop. The thieves, lying in wait among some ruins along the road, ambushed him as he passed. They blocked his path, took his money, and were about to kill him. The shopkeeper pleaded, "I have a wife and children, I've done no wrong." The thieves relented, saying, "Fine. Since you have nothing left, killing you won't profit us. But to keep you from turning us in, you'll stay here." They bound his hands and feet, threw him into the ruins, and took his donkey and the saddlebag of money. They fled to their usual hideout, a cave in the mountains far from the road. There, they counted the money, but with no food left, they agreed one of them should go to a nearby village to buy provisions. This sparked a dispute over who would go. One said, "You go." The other countered, "No, you go." In the end, the two stronger thieves forced the weaker one to make the trip. But he protested, "Now that we've finally got some money, I'm afraid you'll take it and run off while I'm gone. I should take the money with me." The other two scoffed, "It's clear you're the one with bad intentions, planning to steal the money and flee." As is often the case with dishonest people, they lived in constant distrust, fearing betrayal from others and even from each other. Finally, the first thief proposed, "Since we don't trust each other, let's divide the money now. I'll take my share with me so we're all at ease." The others agreed but warned, "Someone in the village might recognize you. If they see you with a lot of money, you'll get caught. Carrying less is safer. A penniless man is rarely suspected." The weaker thief, convinced by their reasoning, set off for the village with a small sum to buy food. Once he was gone, the two remaining thieves began talking about him. One said, "Why do we even keep this useless fellow with us?" The other replied, "I was thinking the same. We do all the work, and he just shares the spoils." The first continued, "In town, he's the one who always got us caught." The second agreed, "Yes, and now he's trying to act tough." The first added, "His only use is that pitiful look of his. When he goes to town, no one suspects he could be a thief or a highwayman. Plus he can pass for a respectable person." The second scoffed, "What's that worth? If all three of us looked half dead, we couldn't pull off these jobs. Besides, money matters more than manners. Look at that respectable shopkeeper lying in the ruins while we've got a saddlebag full of cash." As they spoke of the money, greed consumed them. Their eyes glinted, and they exchanged a knowing glance. The first said, "So, you're saying we split the money 2 ways?" The second nodded, "Exactly. Let him bring the food. We'll deal with him with a single blow, take the money, and go somewhere no one knows us. With this much we can pull off even bigger heists." The first agreed, "You're right. I can't stand the sight of him." The second added, "He's a rotten one. Didn't you see how he was scheming to take the money and run? We'll make sure he never gets his hands on it." They sealed their pact. When the third returned, they would kill him together and split the money evenly. Meanwhile, the weaker thief on his way to the village brooded, "They're lounging back there while I risk my neck. Those heartless brutes always mock me, calling me scrawny and half dead. Sure, I do most of the legwork, but they swoop in at the last moment, take the lion's share and boast about it. They send me to the village because my face looks suitable, but their faces are suited for eating and sleeping. Now that we've got this saddlebag, money, their greed will only grow, and they'll find a way to cheat me. Well, I know what to do. I'll buy some poison, mix it into the food, and when I get back, I'll say I ate in town and I'm tired. I'll pretend to sleep while they eat the poisoned food. Then the money will be all mine." The weaker thief did just that. He bought food, laced it with poison, and returned to the cave. As soon as he arrived, his two partners, true to their plan, seized him and beat him until he was dead. Satisfied, they sat down to eat the poisoned food, then lay down to rest. Meanwhile, a group of travelers stumbled upon the ruins and found the bound shopkeeper. They questioned him, untied him, and together they followed the donkey's tracks. The trail led them to the mountain, where they found the donkey grazing contentedly, the saddlebag of money nearby, and the 3 greedy thieves lying dead beside it, each having met the consequences of their own treachery.